This tunic is in the style of a culture that went away over 2,000 years ago. So this is from the Paracas culture, sort of. I made it, obviously, but it's in the style of the Paracas culture, which lived from about 800 to 100 BCE. So mine is not an exact replica of a specific tunic, but rather sort of a hypothetical tunic that makes sense in the culture. So here's other tunics. They are cropped. That is the normal way. Mine's actually a bit longer than some of the real tunics would have sat on an actual person. And they have these really fun fringy sleeves and fringes at the bottom, and I love them. These are ponchos, but the only difference between a tunic and a poncho is if the sides are sewn, but this gives you a good idea of how it actually works. So it is just a rectangular fabric that they cut a neck hole in, which is, this, and for the tunics, they sew up the sides. And these ponchos still also have fringes, and I kind of use this sort of design on this, where it's a repeating pattern along the edges with that sort of weird gap that you see on the side. My gap is a little bigger, but that's because I'm bad at measuring. But mine has it on the back side as well, so it's sort of mimicking this layout. As for the embroidery elements, mine are significantly less detailed than the real ones, because, it takes time. And so mine are these cats on the borders, and you can see a lot of these cats have smaller cats on the inside, and that's what I did as well. And then for the collar, I did my version of the sharks. Yes, these are sharks, and they have tiny little hands on the inside, and so I did sharks with tiny little hands on the inside, and I think they're rather cute. And the Paracas culture has a lot of fabric preserved because they made these things. So this is a mummy bundle, and it's part of their funerary rites. So essentially, when a person passed away, they'd be mummified in a sitting, sort of fetal position, and they would be wrapped in textiles, and that included clothing. So fancy regalia like this, because this wouldn't be your everyday tunic, this would be like your feasts, your parties, your whatever tunic. Like, this is your fancy clothing, this is your Sunday best. And that would be left with the individual when they passed. It would be part of the mummy bundle, which is why there are so many textiles from this culture surviving, which is incredibly rare, because most cultures you don't get textiles at all. But luckily in Peru, you do get a fair amount of textile preservation because you also get people preservation, mummies. And it's a really cool thing. As someone who is an archaeologist and loves to sew and embroider, this was a very fun project where I got to make something that hypothetically could have existed in the past. It was a very fun project. I hope you think it's cool. I will be posting some cooler photos at some point on other things, so if you want to check that out, it's the one with the camera on the icon. So check it out.